Hey everyone, my name is Bryce, and this is a review of the Ernie Ball Music Man Rabea Artist Series Sabre in the limited Frenzied Flame finish. So this one is not in production. There were only 30 available, and there is a production one called the Vile Blood Burst, and that one is pretty much like this one, except it's got a different color on the body, and then the fingerboard is ebony as opposed to flame roasted maple, and the neck is bird's eye roasted maple on that one as opposed to flame roasted maple on this one. But the core components like the pickups, the hardware, and then the body and top wood, those are the same between the two models. I've had this guitar for a couple of weeks now and wanted to do an official review on it, but I've already done an unboxing and initial impressions video, so if you're interested in that, I'll leave a link to it in the description of this video. And also, just as a quick side note, I'll be pronouncing Rabea's name like either like Rabea or Beer, because I went to his YouTube bio and he has in parentheses that that's how you pronounce it. I used to say Bea, but after I saw that, I now say Beer. So that's why I say it like that. So let's start out with the specs on this guitar. At the headstock, you've got the Ernie Ball Music Band logo going down the middle, and it's got Sabre on the end of the headstock here. We've got Schaller locking tuners, a 25.5-inch scale length, 22 stainless steel frets, flamed roasted maple neck and fingerboard. I know I did that in reverse, but we've got glow-in-the-dark side dots. It's got a Music Man tremolo bridge, which I believe Rabea said was based on the one that's on the JP6, the John Petrucci 6, not the Majesty, but it's machined for this guitar. We've got Rabea's bare knuckle silo humbucker pickups, 5-way pickup selector switch, a volume knob, a push tone knob. The body is made of alder. The top is maple. It's a thick maple top. And the binding on there is beautiful. It has an arm carve. It's got a spoon cut. And there's a lot of comfortable appointments on this guitar. But these are the main specs of this guitar. And while we're on the subject of specs, I wanted to talk about the neck some more. And I have some notes with me. So in my initial unboxing and initial impressions video, I said that it was chunky at the nut and then slims out a little bit as you slide up the neck. And on Music Man's website, it says that about the neck, it's custom tapered neck carve, is thicker at the nut, and slims toward the heel. Now, I got a digital caliper, which is a tool it's a measuring tool, and I took off the strings on the guitar and I measured the thickness of the neck at the 1st and 12th frets, and I did it twice. And I'm by no means claiming to be an expert, and I do want to take it to a professional tech to have them measure it at some point in the future, but here's what I found after measuring those frets twice. So at the 1st fret, I was 0.885 inches and then 0.919 inches at the 12th fret. And then the second time I measured it, it was 0.913 inches at the 1st fret and then 0.962 inches at the 12th fret. So that, to me, the readings from the caliper say that it's actually thicker as you go up the neck, which to me is a little strange because it did feel like it was thicker at the nut and then thinned out a little bit. So I don't know what they mean by it's thicker at the nut and slims towards the heel, because my caliper was saying otherwise. But overall, the neck is comfortable. I don't know what it's supposed to do, but it feels comfortable to me, and that's coming from someone that primarily plays thinner necks. I did say in the initial video that it was chunky, and I think that was probably not a good choice of words, because it's not like a baseball bat, but it's definitely thicker than what I was used to playing, because I don't have the largest hands. I wear a size medium when it comes to gloves, and I'm used to playing thinner necks, and I was coming from a Music Man Cutlass, which does have a thinner neck profile, so when I picked that up, the neck felt fuller in my hands. So overall, it's a comfortable neck. If you were to say which one would you choose between the two, I honestly couldn't tell you at this point in time, because I haven't had the Sabre long enough to come to a solid conclusion on that, but overall, the neck profile is pretty comfortable. Now I want to talk about the electronics on this guitar, because they're pretty unique. So, like I mentioned in the specs, you have a 5-way pickup selector switch and then a push tone knob. So position 1 is the bridge, position 2 are the outer coils, position 3 are both pickups together, position 4 are the inner coils, and then position 5 is the neck pickup. Now what gets interesting is when you hit the push tone knob, so you engage it, it only works if you're in the neck position or the bridge position, and it splits the neck or the bridge depending on what position you're in to the outer coil. So if you're in the neck position and you activate it, it splits it to the outer coil there, and then if you're in the bridge position, it splits it to the outer coil of the bridge. Now, positions 2, 3, and 4, so you're the ones in the middle, those ones do not change whether or not this push-push is engaged or not. So that's pretty cool in my opinion. So if you want to just have, if you want to go to that single coil neck and then bridge, but you also want to use some in-between positions as well, you can just leave that push-push engaged and you don't have to worry about that whatsoever. And now I'm going to share some sound clips with you. My signal chain is the guitar going into my Universal Audio Volt 2 interface, and I'm using the Neural DSP Archetype Plini X for all of the tones. Okay, so a couple of things that I forgot to mention when I was going over the specs. Number one, it says beer. It has his name on the back plate here, so it's not anywhere on the front of the guitar. It's pretty subtle, and I like that. And the other thing is the back of the guitar is actually brown. It's not black. It's a deep brown, and I think it looks really cool, and I think it goes quite well with the top. So those are just some additional things, but what do I like about this guitar? Well, I was actually very intentional with getting it, but I like a lot of things. I actually like the neck. It feels really comfortable, like I already talked about. I love the finish on this guitar, and I love that it's a matte finish. I have plenty of guitars that have a gloss finish, and those are okay. But once it starts to get a little hotter here, my arm starts to stick to the guitar if it's a gloss finish. So I like having the matte or the satin finishes. That just feels a little bit more comfortable on my arm. The big thing for me, and part of the reason why I got this guitar over the, we'll call it the bass Sabre, is this one has an arm carve, and it is so comfortable. And that's a big deal for me because if I'm playing my guitar for a while, I want maximum comfort, and having an arm carve is a pretty much a must for me if I'm going to be playing guitar for a long period of time. So I appreciate it. There are a lot of things that I like about the guitar. I think the pickups sound amazing. I've been wanting to try the bare knuckle silo pickups for a while, and I just never went ahead and got a set. So when this guitar came out, I was stoked. And yeah, they sound amazing, clean or gain. It can handle it all. So in 100% transparency, there are two things that I could classify as not liking about this guitar, but both aren't really a big deal to me, but just something I wanted to make you aware of. And both are relating to the bridge. So the first are the saddle screws. Some of them are poking out a bit, and so it ends up poking my hand when I really dig in, and that's not enough of a deal breaker for me, but it was just something that I found mildly annoying. I did reach out to Music Man support, and they actually are sending me some saddle screws, so I super appreciate that. That's really kind of them, and I'll be putting on smaller ones on the ones that are sticking out. But the other thing actually has to do with the tremolo arm. And before I say this, I just want you to know I don't really use the tremolo arms on any of my guitars that have tremolo systems, so this isn't really a big deal for me. However, getting the arm into the hole was pretty hard at first, and then pulling it out was even harder. Once I did it a few times though, it got easier, but it just took like a minute to break in, I guess. And those were the two things that I would classify as, again, me not really liking them, but they're both not really a big deal to me, but it's just something I felt like should be mentioned. So overall, I'm really impressed with this guitar. Its Music Man quality, in my opinion, is just phenomenal, and no sharp fret edges, fret ends, excuse me. The frets feel phenomenal. The guitar is super smooth to play. The neck is amazing. The body feels nice and comfortable. It's not too heavy either, by the way. I don't have the exact weight, but it's not that heavy. And overall, I cannot speak highly enough about this guitar, even with the two things that I mentioned I disliked about it. So overall, I would highly recommend it. If you get the opportunity to try one of these, I highly recommend you take it, especially if you're on the fence like I was. Again, I don't have the biggest hands, and I was a little unsure about the neck because Rabea did say that it was going to be on the thicker side, and I was used to playing thinner necks, so I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to get it and we'll see how it goes. And I was honestly impressed, and it's not off-putting at all. And again, I recommend that you try one if you get the opportunity to do so. And one last side note before I wrap things up. The price on this guitar, these go for new. The retail price are $3,999 US. And I know you can go ahead and pick your jaw up off the floor. I do understand that that's a steep price for a lot of people. And in case you were wondering, I financed this one, and I'll make a separate video talking about the price of guitars in general, but I just wanted to add a little bit of reference point. I'm by no means a business expert, or especially when it comes to the music industry, but we'll call it the base or the stock Sabre. That guitar, which this one is based off of, goes for $3,499 new. And then they have another variant of the Sabre with Music Man's heat-treated pickups, and that goes for $3,799. And with this guitar, you have Rabea's bare knuckle silo pickups, which are hand wound in the UK. And I have not ordered a set of silos from bare knuckle directly, but I've seen some retailers in the US that have them for sale with different etchings and designs, and I've seen prices range from like $440 US to, I saw a set that was like 500, I think it was like 520-ish dollars. So I think that is the primary factor that drives this price of this guitar up. But honestly, before the price was announced, I thought it was going to be closer to $5,000, and this is going to sound kind of crazy, but I was actually happy to see that it was only $3,999, which I know may sound crazy, but again, I was expecting it to be $1,000 more. But overall, I am really impressed with this guitar. So yeah, this has been my initial review of this guitar. I plan to do another review of it again in a couple of weeks. Sorry, I got this one out a little late. I like to review it after having the guitar for a week, sometimes two. And I like to do another review after owning it for a month because things change and thoughts, opinions, or I might notice something different over time. So just to keep you up to date with that as well. But if you have any questions about this guitar, please let me know. I would love to answer them, and I like talking about gear. And thank you so much for watching this video. And until next time, stay cool like a cloud and have a great day.